All right, so coming in with the BeBall Jones podcast. Start off, I want to get you guys introduced to your host and co-host, or however we're going to say it. Starting off for this week, we're going to talk about my boy Nelson Haskin, current player doing his thing. I ain't going to tell him story yet. I'm gonna let you do your thing. So, go ahead and introduce us to you, sir, and let us know about you.
All right, man. I appreciate it. First off, I'm happy to be a part of the B-Ball podcast. This is a cool thing for me just to have a platform to talk about the game. Me and Ryan, we talk about the game all the time. We just finally found a place to do it and have others really listen to the insight that we have on it. So I'm just happy to be a part of it. But so first off, my name is Nelson Haskin. I'm from Demopolis, Alabama. So and I've been playing basketball pretty much my whole life. Went to Demopolis High School. Uh, Played there all 4 of my years. Nothing too major. No, just a good all county player. Was a good raw talent. Ended up going to a junior college in Alabama called Bevel State in Jasper, Alabama, for the next 2 years, and had some great years there at Bevel State. But to say the least, without saying too much, it just wasn't the most. It wasn't the most highly touted JUCO in the world. You know what I'm saying? So, but I had some great times there. Met some great people, some lifelong friends. Played there for 2 years. I had pretty good first year. My second year, I had a great season. Ended up averaging. I want to say I averaged 14 and 10, so double a night player, first team all conference, things of that nature. And so played for the legendary Tommy Suits, legend and coaching basketball in JUCO. He's even in the ACCC, which is the conference, the Alabama JUCO basketball conference. He's in their Hall of Fame, so I got to play for a legendary coach in that aspect, and he really helped me expand my game. And so after my good sophomore year, I ended up signing to play for Columbus State in Columbus, Georgia. Became a Columbus State Cougar, where I am now currently. That's where I play now for Coach Robert Moore. He's my guy. This is my first year here. I'm a junior, so this is my first year playing here at Columbus State. And so far, we're having a halfway tough season. Everything's going on. It's been kind of tough for us to adjust, especially without having all of the pre-conference games we like to have. We jumped into a conference season, a strictly conference season. We're 5-6 right now with about four more conference games left. If we win those games, we'll be in the playoffs and we'll be straight. By the time you guys get to hear this, that'll all be said and done. So we'll know what happens at that point. But as of right now, we in that dogfight to make the playoffs. So hopefully that's worked out well for us at the point that y'all are hearing this. But yeah, so that's pretty much it about me. I'm just take every opportunity to get better. Oh, by the way, I play power forward and center here. I'm a very strong role player, I guess you'll say. My job is to block shots, rebounds, just so you get a feel of what type of player I am. I'm not a score all the buckets, do everything for my team kind of guy. I'm a utility player, I guess is the best way to put it. I score from the post, block shots, rebound. I actually lead my conference in blocks right now, which is still pretty good for me. I take great pride in that defensive side of the ball, and so that's pretty much me. Just so you guys get a feel of what kind of guy I am, what kind of player I am, and so yeah, I turn it back over to Brian real quick.
All right, so let us know about the beginning, man. Like right now, you at Columbus State, but take us back to the beginning of young Nelson. Like, what got you into the game of basketball overall? Like, what was your introduction to the game?
That's easy. So my introduction to the game, I don't know, the people from my hometown and around the area will know who I'm talking about, but if not, you might not know. A man by the name of Theo Ratliff, born and raised in Demopolis, Alabama. it came up around my daddy's time. Went to the NBA, had a great career. I can't remember exactly how many years he played, but he had a great career. Actually led the NBA in blocks 2 years in a row, I want to say, playing for the Atlanta Hawks. And he comes back around the time that I want to say I'm 4 or 5 years old, maybe 6. Builds the Theo Ratliff Activity Center, or the Theo for short, which is our local gym, and the only gym that's open on the regularly for just free play basketball for miles in my area and down in Marengo County. And people from all over that had the opportunity at least or the means come and just to play when they had the chance, because it's like I said, it's the only open gym that's not a school where someone has to call and, hey, coach, can you let us in to play, or can you let us in to work out, anything like that. It's the only gym for miles that just lets kids come play, has a time for adults to come play and just enjoy the game. So he built that. That ended up getting built while I was about finished built. That ended up being finished built when I was about 7, and it's right next to the elementary school, U.S. Jones, that I went to as a kid. And so my mom starts letting me go there instead of going to extended day after school till she got off work. She lets me start going to the Theo because it closes. She could come get me from work before it closes, and I'll still have be somewhere safe and have something to do. And so I think every hooper remembers that moment where they're kind of like introduced to the game. You walk in and kids running around playing. It's 6 different goals. Everybody's playing basketball. You know, you got kids doing other stuff on the sides and stuff, but like basketball is just everywhere, and it's just like this big eye-opening experience.
Yep.
To see basketball everywhere and seeing kids playing it, and it was just like that. All my friends were there. Like I didn't even know that they were going to the Theo after school, but me just showing up one day, I see all them in there. Now they like, oh man, we ain't know you was coming. Come on, we playing. And so that was my big introduction to the game, and I just been in love ever since. So ever since about the age of like 7, 8 years old, I've been just in love with the game of basketball until I could actually play it on a regulation level in middle school and things like that.
That's great. Did you get a chance to meet Theo?
Oh yeah, I met Theo Ratliff a couple times. He comes back every year and holds a Theo Ratliff basketball camp at the Ratliff Center. And yeah, and I met him a couple times, and he knows my dad. Like I said, they were in school together, and so as I got older, he always asked me. He knows that I play and stuff like that. Now I'm not just coming for fun. I actually play basketball.
Yeah.
He sees that I'm getting tall and things like that. And so like every year he's always asking me, so what's going on, man? What's recruitment like? What's your coach like? What's your team like? He's always asking me those kind of questions, showing interest in my life. And I have a deep appreciation for him for that, even though I can't. Maybe one day he'll hear this and he'll know for himself, but I would love to tell him, how much I appreciate him and how much he did for me inadvertently. Like, just he changed my whole life without even knowing.
Dang, that's wild, man. So you got to meet an actual like NBA player in your lifetime.
Yeah, I have a picture with him somewhere. My mama got it, but I have a picture with him somewhere that was in the newspaper and things like that. I had to go find it. I could so the people could see it. But yeah, it's a pretty cool experience.
Hey, wish I could be you, man. All right, so you said you got into the game around 6 or 7. So did you play other sports growing up too, or was basketball your only thing?
Well, you might get a little kick out of this. Well, I feel like every kid plays a couple little kid sports. Like I played t-ball and things like that, and then I played soccer for a year, and we put that down real fast. But for what stuck the longest before basketball was actually painting. I was an artist before I became a basketball player.
I think I remember that, bro. I think I.
Yes, man. A lot of people do not know that I used to paint. I used to be good too. Like my mom is like, to this day, when she hears this, everything, to this day, she is like sick that I never kept painting. Because I actually had talent. She put me in all kinds of classes. I painted several things. She still has them in the house. I even sold a couple things. So she saw a future in me doing this. She even said, I have family in Savannah, Georgia. They was like, she used to be like, we could send you to your uncle's house in Savannah when you graduate, and you can go to the Savannah School of Arts, Music and Art, or something like that, whatever it's called, art and music, art and science, and you can study there and all that, yada, yada. And I was just like, at the time, I ain't but 6 years old doing this.
Yeah.
And I did it like even when after I was introduced to basketball, I was still doing it till I was like 10, 11. But I eventually had to put it down to play basketball because I couldn't do both for real. Not art classes and practice and all that. Yeah. Man, it kills her to this day. She's still mad, but she can't be too mad because Art ain't paying this tuition, so she'll be fine.
Oh, that's funny, bro. Hey, I think I remember that you used to draw and stuff a lot.
Yeah,
but I ain't know it was painting. Dang, that's crazy. Put the paintbrush down, pick up a basketball. So within your career, like, were you like a gifted player, quote unquote, growing up, or were you like struggling? You know what I mean? Like, were you one of them kids that's just like, dang, he look all right, he kind of special. You started off and you just like, you rusty. Like,
well, that's a great question because I actually pride myself on this. I can answer your question with a story. So I've not, like you said, I've never to partially answer your question. I've never been that guy who like he's gonna be special one day. Nobody's ever. Well, I can't say nobody. I have coaches that have told me I'll be good, things like that. But I don't think anybody ever looked at me and was like, "Yeah, that kid is gonna be special," or "He's gonna be a great player one day." And I'm sure my coaches and stuff believe that I'd be good. And I've always been a good kid, never been a trouble kid, nothing like that. But I don't think, honestly, anybody ever looked at me and was like, "Oh, he's going places," or "He's going to the league," or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So the best way to answer your question is with this story. So in middle school, played for a coach named Coach Bell, who I love to death, still love him to this day. That's my guy. And I wasn't starting. Another guy was starting in front of me. The people back home know, but I'm not going to put his name out like that. But another guy was starting in front of me, but he was a little bit just like maybe an inch or two taller than me at the time in 8th grade. And so he started over me. But the thing about it, I was a much smarter player. I could think the game a little bit better than he could. He was just a little more taller, maybe a little bit more athletic. He could dunk. I couldn't really dunk yet. And so he started him over me, which was cool. I've never been like a player to be jealous of another guy. But before the season ended, I ended up starting over him because he couldn't really think the game through. He ended up making a lot of mental mistakes. So then we get to my 9th grade year in high school. We both on JV. He starts out starting over me again for the same purposes. And then I end up starting over him later on in the season for the same reasons. And then eventually I get moved up to varsity. And so on and so forth, that I've constantly had to prove myself that I'm worthy of being one of our better players, one of our main players. So that's just the kind of career I've had. I take great pride in that, though. I think it's shaped the way I play and, the attitude I have towards the game.
So you would credit your basketball IQ to like give you your advantage, not just over him, but like over players in general?
I would say that, and the need to be proven, you know what I'm saying? Like that hunger of being proven to be better. And we all have that feeling of somebody's doing something that we want to do or that we are doing that's getting a little more exposure or a little more recognition than we get.
Yeah.
I think we've all had that feeling before. And so that need to be proven right at the end of the day, not to prove other people wrong, but to prove yourself right. Like I feel that I am better than this person, or I feel that I am the better fit or the better player in this situation. And having to prove yourself right. And so I think having an attitude of I'm going to prove what I can do rather than, I think I took a better approach than most people would have just gotten mad with my coach or mad with my teammates. Like, but it's not his fault. He's just doing what he wants to do, same as I would have done in his position. He's just trying to play just like me. And my coach is just doing what he thinks is best for the team. So I put it more on myself to think, okay, I have to prove myself. I have to play better. I have to play harder. And eventually my work will show for itself. And so I feel like that attitude has carried me all the way up into this point.
Got you. So let me take a slight step back. because I got a lot of, I hopefully have a lot of younger kids listening to this. Can you explain from your point of view, like your Nelson dictionary, what basketball IQ is in your mind? Like, what's that mean to you?
Okay, so basketball IQ, I guess it's kind of a difficult question to ask when you not talking to another like basketball player, I guess.
Yeah.
But basketball IQ to me really means just overall knowledge of how to play the game. Like
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of when to do certain things. Because in basketball, everything is a reaction. Everything's happening. Everything's going like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
So basketball IQ has to have the knowledge of what to do next in every situation. So like that's why guys like Chris Paul are known to have great basketball IQ because they know if they do certain things, the defense will do this, and then they should do this. It's just
Yeah.
being a couple steps ahead of the other people on the court.
Yeah.
And so basketball IQ can be the separation between a good player and a great player. Because you can always be the most athletic guy in the world. Like that's just something you're born with 9 times out of 10. Not even something that you really did. I mean, obviously you had to put the work in, but you're gonna be born with athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
But guys that have that basketball IQ of what to do next, they'll always have a step above guys who are just born with talent or born with athleticism.
I like that idea, man. I like that definition. I like to try to explain it a certain way to where it's basically like when you start off, it's like checkers. Like you see an opening, you take an opening, and that's how checkers is. You're not really thinking too many steps ahead. So that's very
Right.
basic way of how you see the game growing up. Or you see a lane to the goal, I'm dribbling to the goal, I make the layup. You're not thinking to a high level. I see the defense do this, and then my next move is that, or what if they do that, I do that. That's where like you level up to a certain point, and that's where chess comes in. So you're thinking more of chess moves to where before I even touch any pieces, let me see what I want to do. What's my strategy going into it? Now I think, okay, I move this one piece. What's the move that they're going to do next? Then I got to think of a counter to that move that they're not even doing yet. And that's basically how basketball IQ is for me. It's like it's more of a chess game to where I move one piece. I'm already thinking about the piece you're finna move and where you're gonna move it. And my counter to that move and your possible counter to that move, I have counter to your move. Like it's so many levels to it to where it's not just a simple one move, okay, your move, okay, my move. It's more of that detailed level thinking. And that's kind of how I think about it just a little bit.
But that's a great analogy going because when you start out, it is kind of just checkers. We all just trying to get open, do our thing. But then
yeah.
after a while, you learn and develop. It does become chess. It's knowing the next move before it even happens.
Yeah.
So that's a great analogy as well.
I pride myself on good analogies, man. So as this podcast goes on, my goal is to like at least have one good analogy every episode. So
well, you got you one right there already.
it's a good start. So kind of go to like you said with your high school career, man. What was your experience during high school? Like, tell us about that.
So high school, well, number one thing about me from high school is one of the more rare things, I guess, about my high school career is that I in my 4 years of high school, I had 3 different coaches, or 3 different varsity coaches, I should say. So my 9th grade year, I started out on JV, and about 3/4 of the way through the season, I moved up to varsity to play for a guy named Coach Jackson. And all these coaches I should mention were very different. All of them had different styles, different plays, different ways of well, all coaches have different ways of coaching, but they were all very different from each other.
Yeah.
So it was really a lot of learning on the fly and things like that for everybody that was in my grade, at least, playing on that level. So the guys that graduated with me that I played with, that played all 4 of our years together, it just was a thing. We think about it, we talk about it all the time. It's a rare thing for us to have had to deal with that in high school.
Yeah.
We come in with one coach, and now sophomore year, we end up, we get this guy named Coach Allen, who was a lot different from Coach Jackson. Coach Jackson was a very tough and very, very tough and rigid kind of guy. He wanted his team to be tough. He wanted everybody to play hard, grimy kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was that kind of coach. And then Coach Allen comes in, and not to be in any kind of disrespectful way, obviously, but he was pretty much the opposite of that. He was a very like cool coach. He was a cool guy. Let's say that. He was like, that's the best way I can put it. He was a cool guy. He was cool with all his players. He used to play the game with us. He he's a 2K kind of guy. Things like that. He knew the game. He had a deep understanding of the game and things of that nature. But he was kind of cool with his players and things like that instead of being very tough on him like Coach Jackson. Coach Jackson kind of kept everybody at arm's length. Not to say he didn't like you, but you know, he loved his guys. He loved all his players, but he just we weren't friends. You know what I'm saying? I'm your coach, you are my player. You know what I'm saying? So that they just were very different in that way. So Coach Allen was there my sophomore and junior years. He decides to leave, and we get this guy named Coach Womack my senior year, who he came in. He was a very tough guy. He was kind of a tough guy too, but he was a little less rigid than Coach Jackson. But the thing about Coach Womack is his love for the game is unmatched from any other coach I played for, I would say. Or at least out of those three, he had a deeper love for the game. He was the first coach that he stayed in Tuscaloosa, which was an hour away from Demopolis. He used to drive to let us in the gym. Like, you guys need to be in the gym. Hey, guys, if y'all ain't getting in the gym, I don't know what you're playing here for. And things like that. At our trials, I remember the first time we met him, he said, if y'all not trying to win a championship this year, you can go home. Like, I know this is my first year coaching here. Y'all don't know me. I don't know y'all. But anybody on my team this year, we trying to win a championship. And I don't care what the excuses are about it. So if you're not trying to win, you might as well go ahead and leave. And when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, this is my guy here. This is my kind of guy. We trying to win right now. You know, I'm a senior too, so that means a lot to me. You know, everybody want to try to go out with a bang their senior year. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is the guy.
Yeah.
So we had to deal with a lot of changing, a lot of different offenses, different defenses, my whole high school career. But nevertheless, we all still kind of we stuck together. I think that brought us together more as players, having to change collectively every year. And so but my basketball team never had a whole lot of success in high school, unfortunately. My ninth grade year, the varsity team didn't win a whole lot of games. Same for the sophomore year. I want to say we went 500 my sophomore year. Junior year, we had a winner's record, but we didn't get out of the area tournament. And then my senior year, we finally make the playoffs. First time in years that our school had even made the playoffs, and we end up losing to the team that would eventually win the state championship in 5A. So it is, man. At the first round, we got the team that won it all. So we had it kind of rough, but overall the experience was good, and I think me playing for all those different coaches is what makes me it made me more coachable in a way. Not to say I wasn't before, but having to learn to deal with different coaches every year kind of makes you more susceptible to change and to different play styles. Like, oh, okay, you want me to do this? All right, here we go, and I can adjust better to different guys. So that was pretty much my high school career right before I signed to Bevel State.
So at what point in your career, like not in career, but like high school, did you feel like, or did you know that college ball was a legit opportunity for you?
I can answer that. So the summer before my senior year, I was playing AAU for the first time. I was playing for my guy, Coach J, John Jefferson. Not Jefferson, Coach J. Him and my guy, Coach Knox, may he rest in peace, passed away about 2 years ago. I played for them on Team Alabama, AAU team. And I remember we played the AAU tournament. We've just got finished playing like our second game of the day. And he was telling us, me and my teammate Shakari Williams, we were both on the same team. He told us that UWA was University of West Alabama, was looking at Shakari play. He said he loved your game. He loved the way you played, things like that. And I remember saying, Coach, you think I can leave from high school and go play at a 4-year school and go play college basketball and things like that? He said, man, 8 year, man. Of course you can, man. Like, why would you even ask me that? Like, he was mad that I asked him that.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I'm still kind of having doubts. Like, I feel like I'm playing well, but at the time in my head, I'm thinking like I have to score a lot of points to go to college, and I wasn't. But he was like, yeah, man, you go play college basketball, man. Well, you think I have you? You couldn't play basketball, man. You think I have you on my team right now? Things like that. That's how he was talking to us.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, coach, I'm with you. I appreciate it. He's like, look, man, I know you kind of just now buying into it, but you can go play somewhere, man. Wherever you want to play. If you put the work in and don't stop and do what I tell you to do and do what your other coaches tell you to do, you gonna go somewhere. All right. And I was like, all right, coach. And that was that day. Like, I was already putting in work before, but the work I was putting in before that day was more of a I want to win a championship type mentality. Like, I want to be the best player for my team. And I just love the game at the same time. Like, I love basketball, so I wanted to be good at it. But that day I was like, okay, if I put in the work, I can go to college. I can play college basketball. And I appreciate Coach Knox to this day. Him and Coach Jay. Coach Jay was also a trainer. He's a trainer and a coach. Like, he was a certified basketball trainer, personal trainer. And so they were a very big part of my development at that time. And yeah, so that day was the summer of my junior year, going into my senior year. That was when I decided, like, okay, we going to college with this thing here. We gonna get a scholarship.
That's good, man. You had an OG coming to you, like, bro, like, what you thinking? Like, you can do this, bro. Like,
yeah, he really was. An OG was the only way you could describe Coach Knox. I wish you could have met him. He was the greatest, man. He was hilarious, but he was gonna keep it real with you. If he didn't do nothing else, he was gonna keep it real with you. And the day I asked him that, he was like, "Yeah, you go, man. What kind of question is that?" He was like legit mad that I even doubted myself.
All right. So, like you said, your homeboy got an offer from UWA. So, what about you? I know you said we got Bevel, but you have any other offers?
I had not a lot. I had some JUCO offers. I had some NAIA offers, and then I had some D1 entries, a couple D1 entries. And so I had interest with Mississippi Valley State. I had interest with Alabama A&M. Those are both D1s. And I had some interest from UWA, but that which is D2. Some interest from Faulkner, but people were not pulling the trigger on me. You know what I'm saying? People were not just coming out and offering. The JUCOs were offering though.
Yeah.
JUCOs were offering me out the gate. And so my teammate Shakari ended up going JUCO as well with me. But we went to two separate JUCOs, and we ended up we were in the same conference, ended up playing each other and things like that. So we were both we that's my guy to this day, is my brother. We went from being teammates to competing against each other. So it's a cool thing for us. We always remember those days and things like that, even though we both moved on now. And so but the JUCOs were quick to pull the trigger on a guy like me. I guess they just saw me as a raw talent, and the upper level schools were just not willing to, mold me into the player they wanted, I guess is the best term for it. Because I was a raw talent. I can say that. I didn't have a whole lot of skill behind my athleticism and my drive, but I guess the JUCOs saw that as, oh, this is it. Like, they were like, some of them were like foaming at the mouth to get a guy like me, because raw talent is something that JUCOs live on to develop, and the other schools were just kind of like, he got to work on this. He need to be a little bit better at this. So JUCO was probably the best thing for me.
And so, kind of piggybacking off that, what is a underrated part of going JUCO that most people wouldn't understand or wouldn't know without going through that experience? And what was the overall best part that you could like brag about? Like, you were chosen to be the spokesman for your school or for JUCO in general. What could you say was the best part about it, and what's the most underrated part about it?
Okay, so if we're talking about JUCOs as a whole, I give you a quote that a guy gave me at a camp, a JUCO camp that I went to. It was a JUCO All-American camp after my sophomore season. And No, I mean between my freshman and sophomore season. I'm sorry. And one of the guys coaching there, he told me the what makes JUCO so beautiful to him. This is him thinking. This is thinking. What makes JUCO so beautiful is that uh guys are hungry. Every guy out here is hungry, and if you let them, they will take your food. And when he said that, I was like mind blown. Like, man, that is exactly what it is. Like, that is the thing about JUCO. That's the beauty and the ugliness in it. It's like we all out here hungry. We only got 2 years. Some of us may have could have went higher and then didn't make the grade. Some of us want to prove that we can go higher. Might not have been to went to a good school and didn't get looks and things like that. So we all out here proving ourselves every day. We only got 2 years to do it. Maybe no more than 70 games. You get no more than 70 games. When you think about it on that to that aspect, you really realize like, man, you got to do something. You got 70 games to prove to everybody in your area or really the country that you can play the game of basketball at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And guys will eat your food. They'll take it from you. Like I seen guys come out there highly touted. We know their name. Like, oh, this guy is this. I remember him in high school. He does this. He does that. And they come in with all this respect. And JUCO guys, and they be in JUCO, and we all know them. JUCO guys look at him like, oh, I gotta kill him because if I kill him with all the respect that he has, now I get that respect.
A target on his back.
He got a target on his back every night. So if you a big name in JUCO, and other JUCO guys can vouch for this, you a big name in JUCO, it's a guy that you ain't never heard of thinking about you. Like, oh, we play him Saturday. I'm finna give him the business. He not gonna score. I'm gonna give him 30. I'm gonna give him 40, everything. Mm-hmm. Guys look at that and think, okay, he's already eating. I'm finna take food off his plate. I gotta take it from him.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty in the JUCO game. It's like everybody's hungry and you gotta come with it every night. And if not, they taking their food off your plate, man, every night. And you never know who's watching because you never know what scouts are in the building, where this film might get sent to, anything. So every night you got to bring. And so I think that's the very special thing about JUCO. And to answer your second question, the worst thing about it, I guess, would be is not a whole lot of resources for anything outside of basketball. Like, depending on where you went, I should say. But where I went in Bevel State, we didn't have a whole lot, to say the least. Like, our gym didn't have air conditioning. Like, it's a small gym, one side of bleachers. Most of our high schools were bigger than the gym I played in at Bevel State. Most of the players there, our high school gyms were bigger than the Bevel State gym. So there was that, no air conditioning. We didn't have a working water fountain at the gym, so we were drinking water out the sink if we really wanted some water. And there was no air conditioning. So think about that: no water fountain, no air conditioning.
That's the real grind.
That's what, hey man, the guys I went to JUCO with, we like this because of those experiences.
Yeah.
And then some places, depending on where you go, some JUCOs don't have dorms. We didn't have dorms, so we didn't get to stay on campus. We all had apartments. So now we really living on our own instead of being on a campus, protected and being able to go where we need to go to do things. We had to make ways to go places, to do anything, whatever. Like, we was real adults. Like, we was driving to school in the morning and driving home at night after practice. Had to get your own food. We didn't have a free cafeteria. So we had to either cook or we had to buy fast food every night. So that meant a lot of fast food. And so that's the downside of the JUCO game. It's like, and that's part of what makes people so ready to leave, so hungry to get out, because we know the grass is greener on the other side. Like, if I'm down right now, I'm down bad right now. I'm low right now because we don't have a whole lot. But if I grind and work and kill every night, eventually I'll get to a higher point, a higher place where I have that dorm and I have that cafeteria and things like that. And that's part of my coaches bring that up on me now, because my thing that got me here is I play so hard. And my assistant coach, Coach Butler, he tells me that he's like, you play like you win JUCO. He said, you play like your school did not have a cafeteria. And I tell him, that ain't it. That's on purpose, coach. That ain't no accident.
Yeah.
Like, it'll make you play harder. Like, if you, like, same way we work hard to try to get out our mama's house or things like that, it's the same kind of feeling. Like,
Yeah.
man, I got to get out of here. Like, so
Yeah.
this is the only way I'm going to do it. I got to grind to go somewhere better. And so I would say that's the worst part of it.
So besides the grind of, JUCO at Bevel, like, tell me about your overall experience, man. Like you said, it wasn't the most luxurious thing, but it's 2 years there, man. You got to have some type of, nostalgia there. So tell me about your experience overall, like your teammates. Tell me about that, man.
Man, I as bad as I talked about it, man, I love my time at Bevel State, man. I loved it because the smallness of it. It's a small town, Jasper, Alabama, a little bit bigger than Demopolis, where I'm from. So small town, small school, small campus. So the smallness of it all made us more like a family. So like the teachers, some of the faculty members, they knew us. Like they actually knew our names as people. We weren't just, oh, that's the basketball team, like you would say at like a Division I school.
Yeah.
Like even Zion Williamson, everybody at Duke probably knew Zion Williamson, but nobody knows Zion Williamson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, oh, that's Zion Williamson. Oh, that's the Duke basketball team.
Yeah.
But at Bevel State, it was like, oh, that's Nelson Haskin. I know him for real. That's Nelson. He's in my math class. I know him personally.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of lifelong friends down there. Teachers that I would love to go back and go see, just like high school teachers. Like it was the 2 years I spent there were just like my 4 years of high school. Like people that I will remember forever. And that I love spending time with, things like that. And my Coach Suits, I love him, miss him. He's retired now. He retired after my sophomore year. He said he had his time there was great, and that our last season was so great, going to the tournament for the first time in some years and going to the semifinals. He retired. Said he said he was okay leaving it right there. We had a team mom. I guess that's like the only way to describe her. Her name was Miss Tiffany. Love her to death. I'm sure she's gonna listen to this. So I love you, Miss Tiffany, if you do get to listen to it.
Yeah.
And she really took care of us. My favorite teacher, who I never took her class, Miss Hatter, she took care of us. Miss Jaleesa, they took us in because they knew how hard it was. We were all kids, just trying to play basketball and go to school. And then we had all this extra responsibility put on us, not being able to live in dorms, not having no calf, things like that. We really on our own, just going to school, like high school. And so they did everything they could to help us and to make the transition as easy as possible and to help us get ready to leave. They did their best to help us transition into leaving. And so they made sure we ate, made sure we had food, made sure we had groceries sometimes. Sometimes they were the only fans in the stands because people, like small towns, sometimes people didn't show up, especially if it was like a Saturday game and then Alabama was playing. It was gonna be slim that day. So they made it all worthwhile. And my teammates there, I love them to death. We all like brothers. I wouldn't trade them for nothing else in the world. We just endured their struggle together, and I feel like struggling together increases the bond with anybody. Like, even if we didn't like each other, it's like, man, we got to get through this together. You stuck with me, I'm stuck with you.
Yeah.
So that whole experience, I still loved every minute of it. It's just, I'm just glad I don't have to struggle no more, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah. All right. So let's go a little bit personal, man. What's your major? What was your major at Bevel?
Oh, so at Bevel, at first I was in business, and I was in business administration at first, but then I kind of got out of that. I wasn't really having fun or learning the things I thought I'd be learning. And so I went ahead and graduated with a general studies degree, basically to get all of my prerequisites out the way.
Mm-hmm.
And now at Columbus State, I'm majoring in communications and public relations, which has been pretty good for me. I'm having fun learning that. I'm pretty much just learning how to deal with people, deal with deal with technology and things of that nature, how to communicate better, things of that nature. It's been pretty fun so far. So I think I made the right decision as of right now.
All right. So what made you want to go to Columbus State, man? Because you did your thing at Belleville, but like, what made you choose Columbus State?
Columbus State was
You had a
well.
couple
If I'm
offers.
Yeah, I had a couple offers, a couple D2s, some D1 interests, things like that. But got some great advice from my big brother Mike Scott. That's my big bro. He graduated a couple years in front of me. He was one of those guys, one of those high school legends that I remember watching as a kid. So he's always been like a big bro to me in that kind of way. He gave me some great advice. He said, go to a place that wants you, not that you just want to go to.
Mm.
And so that was some of the best advice I've ever received, because we all have schools that we want to go to, or like schools that look good to go to, but the place you go needs to be somewhere they also equally or close, almost equally want you to go. I mean, want you to come. So don't just go to a place like, this is the best looking school or they the best team, and they haven't really shown a whole lot of good interest in you like that. Because once you go there, they will treat you like they didn't have a whole lot of interest in you. And so Columbus State was one of those places. Not only did I want to come here, but they showed a lot of interest in me. Like they wanted me to come here. I remember the head coach calling me. So the assistant coach, Coach Butler, he calls me first. He's the first one talking to me and things like that. He's the first one I've been in contact with. So then one day the head coach calls me, and Coach Moore, he calls me. He says, Nelson, what's up, man? I said, what's up, coach? He said, what you up to? I said, I'm just chilling, sitting in the room. He said, hey, man, what I got to do to make you a Cougar, man? What I got to do to get you to come here? So I'm really not expecting him to take it that far and be like, what I got to do to get you to come? I'm really thinking, he's going to be the same old, like, we want you to come. You're a good player. You can do this for us. I'd heard a lot of that.
Yeah.
But he said, man, what I got to do to make you a Cougar? And I'm like, so that goes a long way with me, people showing that love and that interest out the gate like that. And so that was one of the main reasons. And if I'm being completely honest, a big reason I came is because there's a Chick-fil-A on campus. That is a huge reason I came. They know it too. They know. That Chick-fil-A did them some favors, boy.
That's part of they pitch to you, like, hey man, we got Chick-fil-A on campus, man. Like,
the crazy thing was no, because they gave me and my mom and my daddy a virtual meeting, right? Because the coronavirus was going on at this time. They gave us a virtual like tour with like pictures and things like that of where everything was. And they showed us a Chick-fil-A. They said we have a Chick-fil-A and the Einstein's Bagels on campus that you can use your Cougar card to pay for. And I said, wait. Y'all got a Chick-fil-A on campus? He said, yeah. I said, man, coach, you should have started with that. You should have led with that, coach. That should have been the first thing y'all said when we got on here. Chick-fil-A on campus, you can pay for it with your Cougar bucks. You ain't got to use your real money. Oh man, coach, what are we doing, coach? we could have signed the papers yesterday. Man, so they got a kick out of that, but I was not lying though. That Chick-fil-A helped them. That was a big reason.
Oh, that's funny, man. All right. So besides Chick-fil-A, man, like what's your experience up there right now? Like I said, it's your first year, man. So what's it like up there right now for you?
For the overall experience, I love it, man. I love the comfortability, everything. They do everything to make sure we're comfortable, and that goes a long way with me. For a while on the court, I was struggling to adjust for a while, to adjust to the higher level, because even though it's still college basketball, there's the levels are levels for a reason. It's like the JUCO level is nowhere near the talent pool and the speed of the game that the D2 level is. And I assume the same thing could be said from D2 to D1. But there was an adjustment period. I'm still slightly adjusting, really, to be completely honest. It's just I've gotten to the point now where I can handle it. At one point in time, I was like struggling. And so, but as time goes on, I had to give myself that time to adjust to it. And other than that, it's been pretty good. My coaches, have taken a lot of time with me to develop me. They see a lot of talent in me and things like that. And so it's been pretty good overall. I've enjoyed it so far. I plan to stay here. Maybe my third year, because I get an extra year now because of the coronavirus. We get an extra year of eligibility. And of course, like just about anybody else, I want to go play professional basketball one day. But I might take that third year. My coach wants me to take it so bad. He tells me every day, like, man, you did third year, you could do this. You're going to be doing this.
Yeah.
He tells me things like that all the time. So, they keep me up pretty nice. I might decide to take that third year here, just depending on how everything's going. So it's been pretty good.
So how has COVID affected you, man? Just not really personally, but more strictly basketball right now. Like, how's that affected your? Did it affect your last season, and like how did it affect you? Playing and everything, like overall.
Well, I think COVID kind of set everything back a little bit, but that could be said for everyone. So I don't take that as an excuse, because the coronavirus hit right after my season was over at Belleville, when we lost in the semifinals of our conference tournament. The coronavirus hit like a week later, and we were all sent home from school.
Crazy.
And so almost perfect timing, really.
That's wild.
And so the only thing that I hated about it was that there were no gyms, no gyms, couldn't work out, couldn't get shots up, things like that. Especially in the beginning, in the beginning, everything was kind of like, we were all kind of just scared, like sitting in the house, like what's going to happen next?
Mm-hmm.
So no gyms was open, couldn't get no shots up, things like that. So I started just running. I had to just run, try to stay in shape. Eventually some weightlifting gyms opened up, not actual basketball gyms, but like I started doing that, got me a membership, started lifting weights every day. So I'm lifting weights and running. That's all I'm doing until I could the guy who runs the Theo Rattler Center on the daily basis. He starts letting me in the gym after hours to shoot. So now I'm lifting and shooting. That's all I'm doing. No runs, no games. Couldn't do none of that. Just lifting and shooting. And I did that for the most part until I left for school. And so I went to school stronger. I can't say that. So that's only the only big effect that it had on me. And then when I got to school, we weren't really allowed in our gym yet. They were still trying to figure out how they were going to do everything. So we were going to the rec center, shooting and things like that, playing with people around the campus. And we weren't allowed to have full games. We were only allowed to have 4 people to a court and stuff like that. So it hindered the development process, I guess I should say. Because, the off season is when you're really supposed to develop.
Yeah. And
so it kind of took some of that away from us. But that's all for everyone around the country. So like I said, I don't really take that as an excuse. But eventually things opened back up, and we got to get back in our own gym and practice as a team. We had to practice as a team from September to we practiced with no games from September to January. So October, November, December, a full 4 months of practicing, no games. Which, if anybody that plays basketball knows that was tough.
You itching,
man, because you practice to play. Everything you do is to get in the game, and the season normally starts beginning of November, and here we are, November, December, practicing every day. It's just, oh man, you could tell tensions was getting high. We was getting mad at each other.
Yeah,
it's like, man, we doing all this practicing for nothing. We will never play. That's how we was feeling. We would never play. But finally, we got around to January where we started our regular season. Even though we were having a limited season with just conference games, we just happy to be playing at this point. We kind of got into a groove with the COVID testing. We get COVID tested 3 days a week. And so we kind of got into a groove with that, getting tested and getting games. So we've played 11 games up to this point. So that's more than a lot of people in our conference and around the country. So we pretty happy with it. So we'll take it.
So has it affected you a lot personally? Because I've heard and seen a little bit of a lot of people like emotionally that's did something to them mentally because they trapped inside the house. Most people ain't used to being told no basically everything in their life. It's their first time really being told, no, you can't do this, you can't go there. So like, has it affected you personally at all as far as that goes?
Yeah, my mental state was kind of bad for a while early on because like you said, people was kind of trapped in the house, and I am not a person that can sit in the house all day at all. If I sit in the house all day, I'd be jumpy, like I'll be ready to move. I got too much energy to just sit around all day.
Yeah.
And so when we first got shut down and I was at home every day, just me and my mama, man, me and my mama was butting heads too. We was like this. We could not with like I love my mama to death, but boy, being in that house every day was just her because she wasn't going to work at that time. I wasn't in school no more. I wasn't able to go to the gym and hoop for a couple hours, nothing. We just in the house. I was like, man, I that's why I had to start going running. I was like, I gotta do something. I gotta get out of here. So my mental state was a little affected at one point, but it got better as time went on. Things started opening back up. I got to be able to be out the house more and work on my craft more and stuff like that. So it worked out, but whew, it was bad for a minute.
Yeah, I know that was tough for a lot of people like you, the extroverts that like to go out and see people and stuff, the people that have to, like that have to go out and do stuff. Like I know that had to affect people like that. Like I'm an introvert, so it's like this is regular life for me. Like staying
You
inside the
cool,
house, staying
huh?
in my room, like it's normal, bro. Like every once in a while, you do want to go out, but it's like for the most part, man, I'm chilling, bro. So I know the extroverts are struggling, man. The social butterflies, they just got to go out and talk to people. So
Man.
it's just interesting to me to see like how that affects different people in different ways. So,
Yeah, I hated it, but like it like not even just having to talk to people, just like man, I can't sit in one spot. I
yeah,
can't just sit here all day. And I play the game, everything. I'm a gamer. I could play the video game for some hours, but man, even I was like, oh, I'm tired of the game. Like I'm tired of being in here. I gotta go somewhere. So thank God that's over for the most part. That part of it at least is over.
yeah. Gotcha, man. Who's your favorite player, man? Because you say KG is the all-time, player that you want to be like. So who's your all-time favorite player? Like goated for you?
um I would say KG probably is. Well, it's between Kevin Garnett and Magic Johnson, really. And I know that's a big difference in players, but Magic is just one of those guys that I love to watch play the game of basketball. I can watch Magic Johnson highlights all day. But Kevin Garnett's one of my big inspirations of playing the game, so he's also up there for me. And then my favorite current player is Giannis Antetokounmpo,
Mhm.
aka the Greek Freak. He's my favorite current player. I strive to be a little bit like all three of those guys, I guess, which is almost impossible, but
Yeah, it's tough.
that's tough to be. But like, I love Magic's flashiness and his passing. I love KG's energy and his passion for the game, his how he affects the game on both ends. And I just love Giannis Antetokounmpo's dominance on the game and things like that. So those are really my big inspirations for the game with things I love about the game. They just those three exemplify that to the max. So uh, I don't know if I can pick you one. I would say probably Magic Johnson though. Magic probably my favorite all time player.
As far as your like as a fan now, like what's your favorite hoop memory growing up, man? Like just talking about Nelson the fan, not the player, but Nelson the fan. What's been your favorite hoop memory that you've had?
My favorite hoop memory. So like in the like watching something like watching the NBA or something like that. One of my favorite hoop memories.
Yeah.
Um, that's the tough one. Uh, one of my favorite hoop memories. I would probably have to say, to be real, might be a little surprising, but to be real, one of my favorite hoop memories was I can't remember what year it was, but it wasn't actually in the NBA. Villanova, when they hit the buzzer beater to win the national tournament, the national championship. I can't. It
Uh,
was about
over UNC?
2017.
When it beat UNC?
Yes, and I'm a North Carolina fan. And where they ran the play, they drove down. Dude drove right down the middle, and he kicked back to the trailer
Yeah.
and he pulls up for the three at the top of the key. Nothing but net wins the game. Man, one of my favorite memories in basketball, just because the way it happened. Because I remember when it happened, me and my brother were watching. Me, my brother, and my dad were watching, and you know, I don't remember how much time was on the clock, but it wasn't a whole lot of time left. Guy drives right down the middle. I'm like, oh snap! What's he doing? Because they down two. In my head, I was like, why would he go right down the middle of the lane? He pitches it back to the trailer. The guy who just took it out. It's like everybody forgot about him. Mm-hmm. So whoever the coach is drew that play up. The coach of Villanova, I can't think of his name at the time.
Jay Wright.
Man.
Jay Wright.
Okay, so you know. So he man deserves so much credit because Buddy kicked the ball back to him perfectly, caught the ball at rhythm, nobody around him, buzzer beater, none but net. I was like, man, it was just a crazy thing. And I appreciate great coaching more than anything. Like I appreciate to see a play come together and work perfectly. I appreciate that a lot. I think most basketball players do. So, man, that's one of my favorite memories, just because I saw it with my own eyes happen. I haven't seen a whole lot of buzzer beaters happen with my own eyes, so that was a great one.
Yeah, I remember a little bit of that one. Like, I remember before the game, people like, just fans, not commentators, they're just like, UNC is going to win. They're going to do X, Y, and Z, da. And for them to come out and get buzzer beated like that, man, it was just like, it was only a handful of people that were just like seeing Villanova win. Just fan perspective. I'm not taking commentators into account right here, but just like, I think because most people are UNC fans and they don't know Villanova like that, they ain't really watch college basketball, don't understand how good Villanova was at that time, to be like, Villanova can play, bro. Like, this ain't just going to be a cakewalk just because it's UNC. Like,
yeah, UNC, you know, people take the name.
Yeah, it's the name over actually knowing the specific team. And it's just like, for them to lose like that, a lot of people were heartbroken. Not necessarily heartbroken, but like very shocked from that. And I remember that. Like, and I think that was the year like Kenny Smith, he was hyped. Like, UNC had the bucket and he was hyped. You know, they just got up and said next play happened, pitch it back. Kenny was so heartbroken on TV.
Man, he wasn't the only one. I was sad too, but the basketball player in me couldn't be sad. I was like still amazed at what just happened. Yeah. But I'm still to this day a North Carolina fan. But it was crazy, man. But one of the best things I've seen with my own eyes, I should say.
All right, that's it for part 1. I really appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you come back to hear the rest of part 2, where we get a little more personal, talk about his plans after college, talk about some shows he likes to watch, anime, a little bit of music talk, and end it off pretty good. So make sure you come back, tune in again, part 2.